Hello, happy Sunday. I almost forgot what day of the week it is, but how could I do that? Because it's Sunday and it is one of the days that I find time to go live. So hello, everybody. Welcome. We are going to be doing some knitting machine work today. And I've had a number of requests recently for a cami. So like a little tank top. So that's what we're going to make to get together today during our little session. So if you're brand new here, hello, I am Tori, I'm the Crafty Girl. I do a lot of different crafts. I do a lot of educational videos around working with circular knitting machines, and I've been really into crochet lately. So I love all things yarn. I have a huge yarn collection. It's a collection, right? It's a collection. But I have a lot of different types of yarn that can only used with certain products. So like my really thick yarn, I can't use with the circular knitting machine. So I have to find other uses for it. And I love crochet. So let me show you a couple of the projects I've been working on, and then we will dive in. Back here, we have our circular knitting machine. We're going to be using the Addy 46, but I'll talk you through the whole project and everything once we get started. Don't worry. I'm not going to take too long before we dive right in, just waiting for folks to trickle in. Also, you may see the Anchor 24 is in our chat. That is our wonderful, amazing moderator. They are going to be there to answer any questions. So if I don't see the chat, then, go ahead and hit them up. They'll also be managing, unruly folks out there. So a couple of projects I have been working on is the Dream Crochet, okay? So she is a crochet designer, pattern designer. She's over on Etsy. I think she has her own site too, but she has some really adorable patterns. So I bought like 6 patterns from her. I've never actually used crochet patterns per se. I kind of just always make my own, but I'm trying something new. So this is one of the first things. So this is how far, this has taken me a little bit, but I needed a little butt warmer. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call it, a little bum warmer here, because it's so cold. So I just needed a little skirt that was warm that I can wear with like a big sweatshirt or something like that over my leggings. So that's what this is, and this will take me probably another 2 hours to finish. And then this week, everybody, and hello. This week was my birthday week. So we had a birthday this week, or we. I guess I'm more than one person. But I had a birthday this week, so yay. And we went out to a really nice new restaurant to us. It was a French restaurant, and had some really great food. But before we went, I got this crazy idea that I wanted to make a hat. Because if you know me, I love hats. I have so many hats. I make them, I wear them, I love them. So I made a hat. I think I'm gonna frog it though, because it kind of looks like a shower curtain, but it was supposed to be a beret. And let me tell you, when the hubs was like, you are not gonna wear a beret to a French restaurant, I said, yes, I am. It'll be stylish, it'll be cool. Well, it is kind of cute, if it weren't this hot pink color. But when I put this on, it really does look like I'm wearing a shower cap. So I think I'm just gonna frog this because this yarn is so beautiful. But anyway, so this was another little project that I was working with, that I was playing with this week. So I haven't been doing much with the circular knitting machine. That's what I was getting at. I haven't been doing a lot of projects around the circular knitting machine for the last few weeks. And so we're gonna dive back in because I've had a number of requests. I mentioned a little bit ago for a cami. I had done this video on how to work with panels a really long time ago. And I never did a follow-up video on making what I did with the panels. And so that's what we're doing today. So this, I did one sample earlier today, just to make sure that I would have, the right look that I'm going for. So we're kind of going Neapolitan here. It's a little Neapolitan look, and that's okay. So we're using the Caron Simply Soft, but then also I'm trying a new yarn. It is Big Twist Shine, and it's very similar to Caron Simply Soft, and it works so well in the circular knitting machine. So this is the first panel. Now we're gonna make the second panel together. So I'm gonna show you how to work with panels very easily. We're gonna do some color changes, okay? Because we're gonna do 2 color changes to get this. And then that is gonna be the bulk of the live today. Just really giving you that overview of how I work with panels, because I find them very simple. It took forever though. I just wanna be clear, because I know a lot of you out there struggle with panels, so did I. okay? But it took a lot of work, and here we are. So this is what we're gonna be working with. So anyway, quick shout out to everybody for joining, those that are popping in. We're gonna switch over here to the circular knitting machine. Let me just check chat. Hello, everybody. Awesome. Okay, we'll just dive in. I'm gonna take it because we're doing this vertical live thing, and the vertical live thing is really cool because we can get different angles. Like you could see the nightmare that is my craft office. I could even take you upstairs and show you the snow because we are getting snow again. Punxsutawney Phil said spring is coming, but instead snow came. So anyway, we are going to switch over here and we'll start. Let's see. Let's get our little. Oh, I don't want to make you. Oh. There we go. Here we go. Here's our machine. This is what everyone's looking for. So this is our, get my view here to look okay. This is our Addy 46 pin circular knitting machine. There are a number of different types, number of different brands you can get, as well as different sizes that you can get. These are, this right here, the brand Addy. It's a little bit higher price point. I think you can find this larger size on sale around $200. It's typically like $230. But I will tell you, if you are planning on using it for your small business or anything like that, this is the way to go. There are the less expensive versions. I have those as well. They all serve their own purpose, but if you're going to be using difficult yarn, or if you're going to be using your machines a lot, this is the brand. I'm not sponsored. I don't work with this company, but I will tell you this machine right here is this one and the little small one. I have a 22 as well. They're always my go-tos. So the lighting looks weird. I have like all these shadows over here. Let me see if I can adjust our lighting. So where is everybody watching from? That's a great question. I love going live so that I can actually have some real world connections with all of you. So let me know where you're calling in from. Wow. Yeah. Radio. Where you are. What's your weather doing? How are you? So the yarn, as I mentioned, this is, again, new to me, Big Twist Shine. And this is coral. It says it's coral, but it's more of like this really light pink color. And yeah, my nails are coming off. That's fine. But this really kind of dusty pink color, so it's a little bit orangier, so it's a little bit of a warmer pink, but we're using this. And then I'm also using my favorite, this yarn right here, the Karen Simply Soft is absolutely like my favorite when I'm working with the circular knitting machine. So, and then I have the teal color as well, and it is, let me pull it up here. So this is the third color, because we are going to use 3 colors. It's going to be a striped little tank top here. This color is, where is she? Teal. It's just called teal. Okay, how creative. And these are all acrylics, so they are washable, and they are easy to work with, and they're also really inexpensive. So that's also good. If I could find all the yarn that I needed thrifting, I would, but that is a little challenging. Aubrey, you have a knitting machine and it's amazing. Yes. Which size, which one do you have? Yeah, my preferred yarn type for working with circular knitting machines really is this Karen Simply Soft, just because it is small enough that it goes through very easily. I rarely have tuck stitches. I rarely have drop stitches. You can find a good selection of colors, and it's just soft. It also looks really, really nice when you have a finished product. So I made my husband a button-up shirt that he wore to a wedding with the Karen Simply Soft, and it just looked nice. It looks a lot cleaner than maybe, you know, some of the other acrylics that are a little bit pilly. So that's what I typically work with. So let's get started with panels. And my question for everybody is, who is familiar with panels? Who's worked with them? Or if you've struggled with them, let me know that as well. And if there's anything in particular you want me to focus on when I show you the process, or if you just want to, you know, watch the process, that's cool too. But we are going to be doing a couple of things when we're working with this panel. Number one, we're going to use waste yarn. I always recommend waste yarn for almost every single project you do with your knitting machine because it makes finishing so much easier. With panels in particular, waste yarn all day. Yes, yes. So I'm just going to use, and if you're brand new to knitting machines and you're not sure what waste yarn is, it's just a contrasting color of yarn that's going to be removed at the end once you finish your edges. So that's really all it is. And you typically want to use a yarn that you know will go through your machine cleanly. Also, you want to use yarn that's very similar in weight to your other. Okay. So this is a lot. This is a big, in fact, I'm going to change this one to the smaller one. We're going to cast on with gray. Now, over on our machine on the right-hand side, I think with Centros, it's on the right side as well. There's a little knob down here. And if you keep it in the bottom portion, I think it's tube, so that will go in full tubes, or you can click it up and that will go to panel. And what that does is it'll limit your machine so that it'll stop and it won't go any further. So you'll just be going back and forth and back and forth and knitting like that, and you'll get a really large panel. But you could do a tube as well if it's easier for you, and you could just knit multiple tubes and always graft those together for certain clothing items. But we are going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? We're going to start this way here. The other thing that I love about these Addy machines is that they have these built-in counters. In fact, let me show you this little built-in row counter right here that I like a manual row counter. Okay. I like it because there's less possibility of errors happening or issues happening. So there are digital versions, and I don't know, maybe because growing up, I was always told that anything digital can have something go wrong with it. But I do like this manual counter here. And when you're working with full panels, it will keep track of your rows, and that is amazing. So I typically, when I'm working on clothing items, well, I guess it depends, but I will use the full panels, and that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to mirror that first panel I've already showed you, and we're going to end up with 2 of those panels. We can graft them together and create that little cami or that tank top. Yeah, no, so Catherine's asking, she's never used the machines, and are they simple to use? They are, but they definitely have some tricks to them. And the technique I'm showing today is a more advanced technique. This is when you hear people talking about hating their circular knitting machines or having lots of headaches with them, a lot of the time it's due to panels, because panels they're not as straightforward as a tube, but it's definitely something that if you're going to be working with clothing items or wearables or anything like that, you should definitely have this in your bag of tricks. So we are going to cast on, and always, no matter whether you're doing a tube or a panel, you need to cast onto your machine, and it's not just putting it in and cranking away. Okay, so that will not work. If you try to do that, you're going to get all of your stitches are going to drop. So the first thing we need to do with panels in particular, on this machine, you'll see, I'm going to back up a little, there are 3 pins right here, and they are all black. These 3 pins will not be knit ever when you're working with panels. So these kind of like black means stop. Your yarn just will not knit there. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll see here that I've actually marked my machine. This is it's between the first and the last pins, and this is just helpful for me when I'm doing tubes, but if you're just wondering what that little mark is right there. So when we're working with panels, you can cast on your, whether you want to go to the left or to the right, it's up to you. I have it right now set up so that I'm cranking this way. I'm cranking clockwise. So what that means is I need to place my yarn tail, under the pin right here next to the first needle that we're going to knit. And essentially it's kind of like a little holder. It's going to hold on to it. In fact, I'll bring it down just a little to show you. So it's just holding it in place. Also, if you're just starting out, leave a longer tail, Leave that longer tail. That will help you as well so it doesn't slip out. And then to cast on, what you do is you take your yarn and you're going to do a simple weave. So you're going to go, since it's being held under here, you're going to go behind and then in front, and you're going to crank while you do this, behind, in front, behind, in front, and you're gonna do this all the way around. Now don't pull tightly. We do not want the tension to be really tight with this yarn. We're just setting up this first row here. Okay, now when we get back here, remember the black pins do not knit. I was gonna say they're not legit to knit. That is the worst joke I've ever made. I'm very sorry. So we are going to make sure that we remember that this is not gonna knit. So what we need to do now though, is we need to take that yarn, that working yarn, and we're gonna put it in our yarn guide, in our yarn feeder down here, and then close it on up. But we're not done, because if you were just to go back the other direction, this pin will not knit. You need this yarn over here. Okay, so we need this to go behind the bumper and down. That's super important when it comes to panels. So I'm gonna keep cranking until my machine stops me. Okay, that's a super awesome thing with using the full panel setting, is that the machine will say, nope, you can't go any further, so you're done. Okay, so that was the first row we just cast on, and now we're gonna go backwards, but let me check and make sure that no one has any questions on that before we go forward. Yeah, sometimes we get these tools and we're like, well, maybe one day I'll pick it up. Maybe one day I'll see how it is. I'm the same way. I keep getting these tools, different things, and I'm like, well, maybe one day. So cool, maybe this will pique your interest and you'll pull it out of the box. So now we're gonna go back. Now, this is the thing, this is the tricky part with panels. You do need to pull on your yarn and create this tension right here before you get to the pin, or else it's gonna be loose. And if it's loose, it's gonna look sloppy, and then it'll also tend to pop off. Well, it is gonna pop off. It might slide off of the pin. So you're gonna see here, in fact, let me adjust my hand a little bit, make it a little clearer. Here we go. So I'm gonna just be pulling on this. I'm just tugging on it a little bit, and see, watch where this yarn is. See how it's behind this bumper. So now we're gonna pull. We're just gonna keep going, knitting. There we go. And then it just took it down. So now that that yarn is done, we're just going to slowly, because it's the first, or it's the second round, it always seems like it's, you know, it's a little bit harder. So we're just gonna crank it. And again, there's that black pin. Just keep going. We're gonna use the whole panel, so all you have to do is just crank it all the way until it stops. Now you don't have to worry about making sure you go far enough. As you get more advanced with panels and you start doing smaller panels, then that's when you're gonna need to be very mindful of how far you're going. But right now we're relying on the machine to just tell us, nope, you can't knit anymore. We went as far as we can. So we just did 2 rows of our waist yarn. We're gonna do another row, but we're going back the opposite direction. Once again, you need to hold on to your yarn and add a little bit more tension. So we're gonna pull it, and by pull it, I just mean gently tug. Don't yank on it. Okay, just gently pull it to create tension. So right now, what I wanna point out is that tension, if I don't have tension, it's gonna be loose, okay? So let's say it's like that. That's what's gonna slip off. So we're gonna just create this tension here. Make sure that it gets captured under that pin, and then keep going. Okay, now when you get back to this pin, here's where another issue happens when you're working with panels. Sometimes your loop that's on the ends here either gets stuck at the top, doesn't go down all the way. All of these things happen very often. So you'll see this is kind of up on the pin. So as I get back, if it doesn't, and it just fell down on its own, but if it didn't, I would just use my finger, push that all the way down. And again, hold on to the yarn as it goes past. Hold on to the yarn to create some tension and make sure it falls down. And then we're gonna go back again. So once again, we're back at this pin here, and you can see how that loop is just getting stuck at the top. oops, let me go the right direction. If it's, there you go, it slid right down, but if not, just pop it down there, go all the way to the right, and now it's locked in place. So now that we've done that, that's a little bit of waste yarn. You can make this cast on waste yarn as long as you want. I tend to only do a few rows because I'm also going to use a ripcord. And the ripcord essentially allows me to easily remove the bottom waste yarn. But I think I have enough. Let me see here. I reuse all of my waste yarn, so there's no, yeah, we're going to do one more row. So let's just do one more of waste yarn. Make sure that pops down. Cool. All right, so now we did one more row of waste yarn, and then we're going to take that yarn tail and we're just going to put it in the center. Now you'll see that it's under this black pin here. No big deal. That does not even matter because it's not going to knit. So it will eventually just like release and go into the center. So don't stress about that. If it really bothers you, by all means, take it under the pin, but I rarely even worry about that. So now I need to add my ripcord. So great question. So Catherine asked, why do you use waste yarn? It really does make a big difference because just look at, if you could see this, this right here is very loose and it's just not clean. So if you were not to use waste yarn, and let's say this was just the working yarn that you wanted to use, when you go to cast off the machine, it's just gonna be all wiggly, loose. It's not gonna look nice. Even if you go back and crochet finish it, it's still going to have this kind of unfinished look to it. So the waste yarn will just help you, and I'll show you a little bit clearer once we add our working yarn, what that's gonna do. So this next step is optional, and this is something that I highly recommend, but again, it's another bit of an advanced technique, but using a ripcord. And a ripcord just allows you to easily remove this bottom waste yarn because this waste yarn, when you cast off, it doesn't unravel on its own. You have to kind of pull out the tail, which is fine, okay, but it can take some time. So I prefer doing a different method. So I'm going to take another contrasting piece of yarn, and this is just a single piece of yarn. It just goes around my machine about one time, and it's a different color than the first waste yarn, and it's also a different color than our first color that we're going to use. So we're going to stick that ripcord in, okay, just into our yarn guide. All right, and then we're going to hold. Okay, so we're going to hold on to the yarn tail, and I'm going to do this a few times as we go through. Once we start changing colors for the actual cami, then I will show you a little bit more of how to do this because this is a little different. We're not going to be knotting this together. We're just adding this. So leave a long yarn tail. There's nothing wrong with that. So then, and again, you can go under those black pins. No big deal. It's not going to knit. We are just going to hold these two, and we're going to pull, and then we're going to go around one time. Ooh, I barely have enough. Okay, so that's our ripcord. So that's just essentially, I'll show you when we're done what that is for. Okay, so now we're going to add our working yarn, whatever color you are going to use. And the pattern that I'm doing is going to be, I took my measurements, 14 inches. So I'm doing 30 rows of pink, 20 of cream, and then 20 of the teal color because I'm going to add a crochet bottom. And then I'm also, I think, going to do the same cream color for the straps, I think. We'll see. We'll see how that is. And the crochet finish is just how you finish the bottom. I have samples all over the place, and of course, why can't I find any of them? I cleaned my office right before the live because I thought it would be helpful, but now I'm realizing since I did that, it's a little bit more challenging to find samples of what I want to show you. Let's see, what's this is one just hanging on the wall. So like a crochet finish, something like this. with this. This is a tube, this isn't a panel, but I just went through and crocheted the top together. So if you are a crocheter at all or a knitter, you can combine those two techniques together, and it's rather amazing because you can do the coolest things. I just made recently, so this is what this random piece of art looks like, but I just made recently for a friend of mine a granny square bodice with a knitting machine skirt, and then I did like some crochet finishing on the bottom, and it turned out so cute, and her little one wore it to school. So yeah, if you crochet or knit at all, you can absolutely combine those together. You do not have to, by the way. If you're just casual user and you just want something simple, that's cool too. Great questions. These are great questions. Keep them coming. I love going live because I get a little lonely, and I love talking with all of you out there and sharing any of the knowledge that I have. So feel free to ask any of those questions. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so now I always use a basket. So a basket of some kind like this. I do have a dog, and if I let my yarn touch the ground, it will be covered in hair all the time. Okay, so now we are going to take our working yarn. So this is our first color, and again, we are going to do 30 rows of this color. So here's the most important part when we're working with panels. So I want to make sure that our little angle is correct. Aubrey, you crochet. Okay, then yes, you can do, and I'm a huge crocheter. I don't know if you were here when we first started, but I'm working on a little crochet skirt right now, and I just did a beret. I love crochet, okay? But I do want to point out, if anyone, I have, I'm getting my calluses. My skin is getting a little rough from all the crochet I've been doing, and that's okay, because it's, it's like playing guitar or playing anything. You get those calluses. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, we're ready to add our working yarn. Now, I don't remember which direction I was going, but it's okay. So we're going to add that color there. Let me see which direction. I'm going this way. Okay, so whichever direction you are going, okay, you are going to hold on to the yarn tail of the previous yarn if you're changing colors, or in this case, it's our ripcord. Again, creating that tension. Black pins don't matter. You can go under there. It will eventually fall out. But we do need to make sure that this is pushed down. Okay. So I'm holding that, creating that tension. Ooh, make sure to set your timer. Yeah, we need a timer. I'll forget what time it is. But I just set my counter back to 0 because remember, this machine will actually keep track of our panel rows for us if you use the full amount. And we are. So that's the hardest part here, I think, is just getting cast on to the, or for the panels. So I have this set up kind of weird. I don't want to hit my phone because my hand's all in this weird spot. Also, hey, ADD, let me show you a really cute thing that I just got recently. How stinking cute is this? It's a little recycle can in pink, and guess what it's for? Yarn scraps. Okay, sorry, got distracted. All right, so now we're gonna do 30 rows, but again, I'm gonna show you some tips here. So we are going to just start our first row. Remember, when you get back to that first pin, okay, make sure that the loop is down, go all the way past it. Your yarn goes under that bumper. Hold on to it so you have tension when you go back. Okay, make sure there's tension. Going slowly to show you. Goes into there. And then we're just going to keep going. And again, this yarn is fabulous with this machine. So when you're working with panels, one of the things you don't want to have to worry about is if your yarn is going to get stuck or if it's even going to work. So yeah, this yarn is definitely really awesome. So we're going to go past till it stops us, and it is keeping track, which is fabulous. We're going to pull on the yarn, creating that tension. Create the tension right here. make sure it goes down. There we go. And then we're just going to keep going. Now, it looks weird because this, if it was really hard to see, but this pin right here looks like there's nothing on it because it does get kind of stuck. But that's why once you get here, you need to make sure that you're pushing it down. Just push it down right there. Go back. Now, the knitting machine is also really great for so many reasons. You know, if you are a crocheter or knitter, you know that our hands can get so sore and crampy. And if you have any sort of chronic pain, which I also do, sometimes crocheting isn't something that I can work on for long periods of time. So the knitting machine is just one of those things that you can create these projects in a shorter amount of time, and you can still customize them and make them how you want them to be. So it's a great addition to your tool set. I even started using my knitting machines to make straps if I was in a hurry, because it was just a lot faster than crocheting straps and less painful on my hands. So we will be doing a color change once we get to row 30. So if you are wondering how to change colors, I will show you. And also, again, if you have any other questions, do not hesitate to ask those in the chat. And you just get into, you know, a pattern. Also, make sure you have enough yarn pooling with your yarn. You don't want to have any tight tension from the skein. Glory Michael, what's up? Hello, welcome. Welcome to the live feed. And it seems like Sundays are going to be the day for lives, because those are the days that typically work best. Now, if I could just get them scheduled ahead of time, that would be awesome. But my ADHD is like, nope, nope, not going to happen. I mean, how calming is this too? Usually I have my music really loud up in here and, you know, dancing around while I'm doing this, but obviously we can't do that on YouTube, so you just have to hear me chat. Yeah, this yarn is awesome. This is the very first time I've actually ever worked with this yarn, and I really, really like it. JXDECXRE. Hello, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Yes, okay, so Shannon, great question. Is it better to pull from the center of the skein or the outside? Honestly, it really depends. If you can use center pull, absolutely, because it will create a better, more of an even tension. But also I would recommend getting a yarn winder. And I'm going to show you that, I'm going to show everyone that a little bit later because I need to wind the yarn before we add the teal color. But I love center pull, but also it really depends on your preference. But some yarns, no matter how hard I try to get that center pull, it doesn't work, or you'll pull out the center pull and get all the yarn barf. Yeah, that's even more of a pain. So, okay, we're almost at the end of this row, and then I'm going to show you how to change colors. It's really simple. The hardest part is more when you are finishing your item and you need to hide your yarn tails. So we're on row 28, so 2 more rows. $29. And 30. Okay, so we just finished our 30th row. And now what we're going to be doing, I know those centros, Sadie, those centros, I will tell you, you know, I started with centros and I had nothing but problems with them. I did buy some like fixer kits, some things to make things work easier. But then when you think about it, you know, even though that they're cheap, they're inexpensive, then you start buying all these things to make them work better. And it's like, you shouldn't have to do that, right? We live in this, this time where everything's a throwaway product and we should be spending a little bit more so that things last. And I feel like so far, and I can only speak from personal preference or personal experience, but so far, these Addies are the ones that seem to last at least the test of time for now. They're still plastic though. They're still plastic. Don't get me wrong. But definitely better than the Centros. But I do have the Centros. The Mushroom House. That one I will say. The Mushroom House has worked pretty well for me. So we are ready to switch colors. And what that means is we are going to cut off this working yarn right here. And I'm going to leave, I don't know, like 6 inches or so. But whatever you're most comfortable with, we are going to hide this yarn tail when we're done. When we put it all together. Okay, so the next color that we are going to be working with is our cream color. And this is the cream that we're using, the Caron Simply Soft. So this is, I think it's just cream. 100% acrylic. Oh, it's called Off-White. Excuse me, it's Off-White. And this one is a center pull. Yes, yes, wonderful. And let's do a color change. All right, I'm gonna grab a quick drink really fast. Yes, Amazon. That's where I got all of my machines except the Mushroom House I was actually sent from Centro. They sent that to me. But all my other machines I purchased on Amazon. You can watch them, like add it to your cart and then just keep watching the price because they go up and down significantly for the Addies. What is that? Nope, that's just a yarn flaw. I thought that I had a tuck stitch. Nope, just a yarn flaw. Well, it was so nice to see you. It was so nice for you to jump in, Catherine. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going back, and just so you know, everyone, I'm just looking through the chat here. I have to remember to do this. Thank you so much. And Yarnworks and Crafts and More by Lydia. We are working on we're making panels because I'm working on a camisole, or a tank top. I'm just going to call it a tank top. And it's kind of like this. In fact, I forget that we're doing vertical today. We're doing vertical, which means I can show you. So let's just do a different angle here. So this is the first panel that I made. And so we're just doing a second panel. And then we're going to, essentially those two pieces together will create this, you know, like this camisole. And then what we'll end up doing, which I won't be doing on live because me sitting here crocheting on live is usually not that exciting. Some people make it exciting. I'm not exciting. I'm pretty boring. But what I'll end up doing is doing a crochet finish here and then maybe some crochet ribbing at the bottom, and then we will add some straps to the top. So it's going to be like a little strappy, and it's definitely Neapolitan looking, but you know, it's cute. I think it's cute. It might actually be cute with like a little pocket or something here. I don't know. But these are the colors that I had, and I'm just playing with different looks here. So that is what we are doing, and we're just making the second one right now. Okay, so let's see if I can get this back in. I've got all these random things just around the room to try to get the best angles. Okay, cool. There we go. So hopefully that's helpful. Yes, the 40 and 22 needle Ray, those are amazing. Yes. Oh, Stephanie Fricky, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. And I do have a little music in the background, but it's more for me, right? So that my brain can focus. So I'm glad it's not distracting. That's awesome. Okay, and I just saw the name Love and Crochet. Yes, Love and Crochet, welcome. I absolutely am loving crochet. My current projects outside of this are totally crochet. My hands, I was pointing out earlier, my hands are a hot mess right now. I did get some new crochet hooks. I know some people may not care, but I have used the same crochet hooks probably since, I don't know, since I was little. My favorite crochet hook has been this little 5 right here. Like, I don't know how long. The paint's chipping off. I think this thing comes off. I've had it forever. So I decided to upgrade and got some Prim ergonomics. I don't know why I didn't do that sooner, because even though my hands still get sore, it definitely makes a big difference for sure. Hello. All right, so we're going to do a color change now. And again, it's not scary. All we're going to do, which direction are we going? I need to know which direction we are. We're going to take our yarn tail. And again, if you're just starting out, leave a long tail. Okay, you can always trim it later. And then also save your yarn scraps. You can use them for art projects and things like that. But we're going to leave a yarn tail so we don't worry about it slipping out. And we're going to stick it into our yarn guide. Close it up there. And then we're going to find the tail. Okay, this is the tail of that first row that, or that first color that we did. So again, we are going to hold these two together. We need to create tension. So then that way on that first pin, we have a nice catch there so it doesn't get loose. So again, the black pins don't matter. It's going to fall off anyway. So you can go forward just a little bit, just making sure you have that tension. Okay, so you'll see the yarn tail is under this pin here, this black pin, which is not going to knit, but it is just going to hold it in place for us. So that is helpful. So then, well, we're going to hold on to that, and we're going to make sure that the yarn is under this pin here. Give it a little tug just to create that tension, and then we're just going to keep going. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is knot those together, but we're not going to do it just yet. I'm going to go around twice just to make sure I can get those stitches solidified. I'm doing 20 rows in this cream color. So we're just going to go like this. Make sure we push that down. And let's go under there, and then we're going to go back, and then let me show you. So if we don't do anything, you'll see how loose it is right here. It can easily slip out if you have short yarn tails. This is why I recommend, especially when starting out, having a little bit longer yarn tails. But we're also going to knot this, and I'm just going to do a single knot for now. I'm just going to knot those up right there, and that will ensure that we have this tension appropriately placed here, so then we don't end up with that slipping off of this pin, because those end pins are where the problems typically happen. So then we'll just keep going. Pop that down. Now, something that is super satisfying to me is when you get your panels right, when you feel good about your panels, when you're like, I have this is great. When you start to see your panels and see the ends look this beautiful, I mean, it's, oh my gosh, my shadow is making this, but look at it. It's so even and clean, and you can get that. You can. Again, I taught myself this. This is not, you know, I wasn't taught by the company or anything. It really was just a matter of practicing. And when I first started, I didn't touch panels for the first month because I was so frustrated. So for those of you out there that are, you know, wondering, I'm never going to get panels, they're so frustrating. They are, but you will. Now I use panels for, I mean, almost everything, because so many projects just look better with a single knit as opposed to a double knit. Now, beanies, you know, warm winter apparel, stuff like that. Yeah, you know, 2 layers is good for warmth, but for the delicate items that I make, like my tops, button downs, those type of things, panels are much better. And again, thanks everyone for stopping by. I totally appreciate it. If you just, you know, if you're liking what you see, just click the like button. That's awesome. That lets me know that my time is totally worth it. All right, so we have, we're gonna get to, like I said, 20 rows for this row, and then we're gonna switch to our 3rd and final color. And this is a small project, but here's the cool thing with this. You can customize this, whatever you need it to fit. So if you need it to be, let's say you need it to be a little bigger, you could do 3 panels and then graph them together in a creative way. You could do 4 panels and graph them down the center front and center back. With 3 panels, you could graph them together and do like a crisscross in the back. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with these panels. Hats, scarves, ear warmers. Yes, and I will tell you, I love hats. I have so many little teeny weeny beanies that I wear like every single day, and I love them. Love, love, love them. Oh, Maggie, you're making what I'm making. Awesome. Yes, yes. You have to tag me once you finish it. You can tag me on social and I'll see. I want to see what everyone's working on. Oh, Fiona, we're going to do that in a second. So I have 8 more rows of this color, and then I'll show you how we switch colors once again. We have 1 more color change that we're going to do. So just stick around for a few more minutes and I'll show you that panel color change. And if you're just coming into the live and you haven't seen the whole process, feel free to ask questions. I'm more than happy to slow things down a little bit for you. Yeah, and I've been falling off in the month of this February month, my birthday month. I definitely have been slacking on content. I kind of took a little break. You know how it is, you know, the world is a dumpster fire. And so being on social media, when it stops feeling good, you just have to take a break. So I've just been taking a little bit of a personal break. Last month, I logged 30 hours creating content. So I started keeping track this year. So I logged 30 hours doing content. And then this year, I think as of yesterday, it had only been 6 hours. So yeah, this month was a little bit of a break. But as we go into spring, I'll pick back up with some more projects coming your way. All right, so we just finished our 20th row of the cream color. Now we're gonna switch to our final color. But before I do that, I promised you I was gonna show you. Let's see, how's this angle? I don't know, we'll see what this angle is if I can get this to look right. So this little tool right here is a yarn winder, okay? You may be familiar with this, you may not, but I love this. I think that's a tool, especially when you're working with your circular knitting machines, one less headache you have to deal with. If you have skeins that you can't center pull, or let's say you have a skein that did center pull but had a lot of yarn barf, well, you can use this to help with the situation. And that is what I'm doing now. And so I'm trying to, I didn't set up a little stand over here to show you this one. Let's see, but I do want to show you this because it's super cool and I need to do it. And the reason I need to, okay, let me show you what's happening down here. This is what's happening. So this is my third skein. And when I did the sample, I pulled out the center pull. So this is center pull. But that's all the yarn barf. That's all that came out with the center pull. So one thing that I like to do is to just go ahead and wind it up for just till I get to the skein, just to make sure that there's no knots happening, because the worst thing you want to happen is while you're in the middle of a project, now have to worry about a knot in your yarn. We want less problems, not more. All right, so let me see if I can get that at least to set up this way. Okay, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. We'll go with that. So it's very satisfying as well, just sitting here and doing this. So we pop our yarn in, ooh, and it is covered in dust. Now that's fun. And then we're gonna go like this. And we're getting it wound up because see, there's a little knot right there. Okay, that's coming out. Also, you know, we're getting a lot of exercise with our right arm over here. Here's some exercise for your left arm. Evening out your workout. If this is your craft workout, there you go. There we go. Now we're back up to the top. So that right there, my friends, do you see how fast that was? So now when I pull from this center, when I'm working on this, I know that I'm not going to have any knots, and that is going to make my life easier. And this is still center pull. You're able to see what I'm showing you. This is still center pull. So I will still put this in my basket, but it'll pull from this first, and then it'll go to this. And it just keeps it a little bit more organized. But I haven't cut off the yarn tail of my other. So let's go back to that. Get all this. There we go. All right, so for the color change, now we're going to cut off the working yarn of the cream because now we're ready to go for our last color. And again, we'll leave about 6 inches or so and put that cream color to the side. I'm gonna put my teal color in my basket. That center pull, go. All right. Shay! Hello! Hey, Shay. Ooh, that's hard for me to say. Hello and welcome. So good to see you. All right, so we're going to be doing our final color change. So this is the third color. And once again, with panels, color changes, not a big deal. You're going to take that yarn tail and you're going to put it in the center of your work, or the center of your machine. Leaving a long tail just to make it easier for you. You're going to place that working yarn, the new working yarn, into your guide. And then you're going to hold on to both of those at the same time. As a reminder, or if you missed this before, it doesn't matter if the yarn tails go under the black pins. In fact, if that's easier for you, go for it. I always leave them under there because they'll eventually work themselves out, and it's one less thing to have to finagle with. So you're going to pull on these to create this tension, and then you're going to go back. And again, under the black is fine. Could even be helpful. So you're going to go back until it goes under that first pin. There we go. And then you can let go. That's the color change. The only other thing you're going to need to do is just do a single knot in those two colors after you go around a little bit once it drops, just to make sure it doesn't unravel. That's it. And then we're going to continue. And I'm going to do 20 rows for this color as well. pop that down. Again, we'll stop right here and we'll see how loose it is. While I have this on our right side, we'll just go ahead and do a single knot just to get that tension right. And then we'll keep going. So that is how you do that at the end. Now, I do recommend with color changes for panels, primarily you're going to be doing them at the ends. Most likely you're not going to do a color change in the center of a panel, but you might. Let's say you want to do, you know, fun little stripes or different asymmetrical, you know, different looks to it. You certainly can. It's just going to create that knot in the center, which may be visible on the garment. So just be mindful of that. If you are working, let's say you run out of yarn. So a good reason that you might have to do a yarn change or at least add yarn in the middle of a project is if you have a skein that ran out, but you just need to add the same color. And in that case, what I would say is you probably want to do like a magic knot, just so then that way you have less bulk and it'll just blend right in with your project there. But if you can, if you're changing colors, most likely it will be on the ends. See, and by using that yarn winder, this yarn is coming out very smoothly, easy tension, or even tension, not easy, easy tension, even tension. And for me, for this particular yarn and the tension that I use, 70 rows will get me to about 14 inches. And for this project, that is the measurement that I'm going for. I typically create my patterns based on measurements as opposed to rows, just because we all have different yarn, different tension, and of course different body types. So it's easier to adjust if you're making it to a measurement. Now I just have to not get distracted because we're already at row 60. 70 is our end game. Betty asked if there's a good place to find one of those knitting machines. Amazon. I will say Amazon is where most people that I know have purchased them from Amazon. You can also go directly to the company. For Addie in particular, I know that you can purchase directly from them. Usually around days when there's holidays, they put them on sale. So make sure you're watching for sale prices because they do run a little pricey for this brand. Where are we? 64. Okay, I don't want to get distracted because I am. And again, a giant thank you for everyone for joining me, keeping me company, asking really great questions and having great comments. $69. Okay, one more row. All right, that is our final row. I'm just going to, I don't remember if I kept a long tail. So how much yarn you keep at the end when you cast off is really up to you. Typically what I'll do is I will go in and do a single crochet around the bottom, or maybe depending on what I'm going to finish the bottom with, it'll either be a single crochet, a slip stitch, something like that, just to make sure it's a really nice finish. But you could also, if you don't crochet, you can just take your darning needle and you could pick up all the live loops and finish it off that way. You won't get a really super clean finish, but it would be something that you made, and you know, if that works for you, go for it. but you know, as a crocheter, I do love the crochet. So we are going to add waste yarn once again. I am a huge advocate for waste yarn. So just our contrasting color. And we're just going to add that. And then we're just going to go back and forth. On the cast off round, I definitely recommend having more waste yarn than when you cast on, especially if you are going to be manipulating it in any way. For me, you know, I use my mannequins, I'm a sewist. So for me, it's just easier for me to put things on the mannequin and play around with the patterns. And by doing that, it tends to unravel pretty quickly. Ooh, and this yarn. Okay, I do want to point this out. Do you see? Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a second. Do you hear that? That is the difference between this yarn and this yarn. This yarn is so smooth in the machine that it doesn't really make any noise. This yarn is a little thicker, so the machine's saying, wait, I'm gonna work, but please go slowly. Oh yeah, this does not like this yarn. Good thing it's just waste yarn. Let's see, are we at the last? I don't know if I have enough to go all the way around. No, I do not. Okay, so we're gonna stop the waste yarn there and finish casting off. Now, when you're all done, okay, you have your waste yarn on, or if you're gonna use your darning needle, there is one more step you need to do. So you need to go around your machine one time without any working yarn. Okay, this is going to release all of those loops and make them live. So if you were just to pull it off your machine, it would completely unravel. So keep that in mind. Now, one other tip that I do, which is just a silly tip, but it's something that makes my life easier, is when I'm ready to cast off, I already have waste yarn on here, so all I need to do is keep cranking until it falls off the machine. Well, I'm going to go back to tube settings, so I'm going to click my little tube setting down here just because it's easier for me to continue cranking one direction instead of having to crank one direction and then crank again. So anyway, that's just a silly little tip, but I find it super useful for me. Okay, so now we're going to do one. Okay, this is just one round where we're releasing everything. So these are all now live on this side. And if you were going to be using your darning needle, you would come back through here and you would be picking these up with your needle. But we don't have to do that because we are going to come back and pick up the other yarn when we finish it. Okay, so all of those are now released. So when we go around one more time, it's just gonna push them all off the machine. Oops. And sometimes that happens where they get stuck. That's totally happens. Ah, and there's our beautiful piece. All right, let's put this on our mannequin. Let me get see if I can get this to, there's our little Manny right over there. Okay, how's that view? That view is horrible. Okay, we'll figure out a different view here so that it makes it easier. Let me move this yarn out of the way. In fact, here, you know what's gonna be easier? This is what we do. Here we go. Here, hi, hey. Trying to get a better view so you can see the mannequin and what we are doing. Yes, I know these colors are really pretty. They're kind of springy, and I think I was in like the spring mode, and these colors have been sitting in my like my to-do basket forever. So here's the one we just made. Okay, this is the one we just made. And here is the sister. Okay. And then what I'll end up doing with this one is we'll be grafting this together. In fact, let me grab my needles. Where are my needles? Not my needles, my pins. Okay, this song sounds like I can't play this song. I know no one can hear this. Yes, please post on Instagram. I want to see what you're working on. Okay, and this is, again, you do not have to use a mannequin. I just really enjoy manipulating the yarn and seeing how things look. So this one, I kind of thought about doing, no, I can't do that because I didn't make the stripes even. If I had made the stripes even, it would look better if I swapped it, but I think I'm just gonna go with this. So I can just kind of give you at least a preview of what the finished cami will look like. But I do need to do an actual video with finishing it because I've promised to do a video on how I actually make the cami. So I need to get that in a long form video format. Okay. Over here. And then we'll just be grafting. So if you can see here, what will happen is we will graft these on the side after we finish the top and the bottom. And essentially this is gonna be what our cute little top is going to be. But we do have a lot of finishing to do with this. So that's kind of the thing with the circular knitting machines. It saves you time because you can knit those pieces so quickly, but the reason it is so great is because then you can spend the time that you have working on creative pieces. So, you know, with this, what if you wanted to add like a puff sleeve? Okay, so I'm just thinking about, this is how my brain works when I'm designing something. I'm like, okay, this is a good base. This is a great base, right? Well, you know what we could also do? We could do a different type of join. We could do like a lace join on the sides. We could add like a crochet lace top to the top of this. We could add a skirt to it. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but it's all a matter of just being creative and playing with it. And you don't want to spend all that time, for me in particular, you know, spending 3 hours crocheting something and then have to go back and figure out the rest of it. I mean, I do, don't get me wrong. In fact, if you weren't here earlier, the project that I'm working on currently that is killing my hands is this. This is just a half double crochet skirt, and it's kind of like it's my bum warmer. That's what I'm gonna be using it for. So it's really gonna be, it's like a high-waisted, nice little, it's just acrylic, washable, but it's gonna go, you know, right here. It's gonna be nice. It's just taking a little bit of time because I'm doing crocheting, but as I mentioned before, my new Prim crochet hooks are amazing. Amazing. So hopefully everyone had fun. I enjoyed this. I always hate ending the lives because I'm like, I want to keep going live. I want to keep showing you what I'm working on, and it's so nice to have y'all here. But thank you so much for joining. Again, let me know if there's anything else. Feel free to message me, reach out to me here on the channel. If there's anything you want to see that you didn't get to see today with panels, I do have a panel video. I think in the description for the live, there's like some of these get started videos that I did that might be helpful. But I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you very much for joining. And we'll probably be going live. I don't want to say probably because then I won't do it, but we will be going live Sunday coming up soon. How about that? That's what I will say. That's what I will say. Oh, wait, questions. Change to Addy because heavy. Yeah, the Addy. The Addy is just, I love the Addy machines for sure. Hey, Shay Shay, thank you so much for joining again. You are MVP. MVP. More lives, right? Okay. I will do it. Even if there's one person here, I will totally do it. Thank you, Love and Crochet. Thank you, Thistle Moon Farm. So nice to see everyone. All right, we'll talk to everyone later. Adeline Live, hi, we're wrapping up, but thanks for dropping in, Stephanie. Yes, absolutely, anytime. All right, until next time, everybody, when I can figure out how to shut down, because I always can never remember how to close off the live. Isn't that funny? I'll figure it out somehow. All right, bye, everyone.